Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode number 1 of our Smackdown vs. Raw 2006 GM mode. I'm your host, Kain Drago. As you can see, we are going to obviously draft custom rosters. Since I'm playing single player, all the legends except for DiBiase and Jake the Snake are unlocked. We will be doing Jake the Snake because I can't unlock him with the criteria, and DiBiase because I play this. All the setup for this was done single player because a couple of my friends that would help me with it, we haven't had time to meet up. It is safe to meet up where we are, we just haven't been able to. And some of the challenge mode special challenges you have to do to unlock DiBiase are way too hard to rely on the AI to help me finish. Even though I was hoping to draft him, I realized I couldn't unlock him properly with one player, so tough. That being said, all the ones unlockable through normal play of season mode and purchases are unlocked and will be available. I'm going to turn them on to make sure, because I haven't done that yet. I did when I test moded earlier. Oh yes, I also made specifically made 2 custom characters to be actual jobbers. That's the female one, Billy Joe Burr, and her brother Joe Burr. You're welcome for the less than clever names. No, I don't want him on. That's my custom wrestler I went through season with. If anybody E-Feds, that was one of my 2 primary E-Fed characters. I may add him at some point just to have another body, but we'll see. Oh yes, the other thing. I didn't unlock 80s Hogan yet, but it doesn't matter. We're only using one of the 3 Hogans, and myself and the main guy who would have been the one to help me unlock DiBiase if we had time to meet up, who's one of my main viewers. If you've seen him in stream, he goes by JDL111 when I stream games. I asked him his opinion, and we agreed to use only one version of Hulk Hogan, and he suggested Hollywood Hogan, so that's the one we're going to use. And of course, I don't have Jimmy Hart unlocked, because why? Oh yeah, Joe Burr, we need him. Believe it or not, we are going to need him, because I'm going to pick him up at some point to be the jobbers that I'm intended him to be. Okay, so everyone who can be unlocked reasonably by myself is available. We're going to draft rosters. I did a randomizer earlier off stream. Essentially, I went like this. And I did a best of 7, and it ended up being Raw. So we are going to be Raw. As we know, if you've seen the game before, the first draft pick will be slow, chosen at random. Draft picks will alternate between the 2 brands. I have the women's title, SmackDown as a cruiserweight. Cruiserweight's blue, Divas red. Not required to draft all 20. Recommended size is 12 up to the max 20. So, a few things to note. We are going to be doing this up-up-down-down style, in case you couldn't tell from my background. Thank you to my friend ValkosLunari for making my version of it for me, because I don't have software to do it. If you like games other than wrestling games, check him out on Twitch and YouTube. His Twitch is twitch.tv/ValkosLunari. And also, you can search him on YouTube under ValkosLunari. ValkosLunari. So thank you for that. Also, shout out to, of course, UpUpDownDown, who made this popular, and to the Squared Circle Jobbers, who are the most immediate people at a similar level to myself, although they're still a little further along than I am, for currently having one going that I've been followed that I just caught up on. So the only difference, of course, in my version of the layout, I had Valkos flip the colors just to be a little different. But it's just a simple, easy layout that works. So, I do have notes, even though I'm playing against the AI. I have notes for draft picks, who I'm going to put where, etc. I got the very first pick. And I know who I want with it. I want Hollywood Hogan. A, because of his popularity, and B, because of an idea for the first storyline I want him to be a part of. Now, a lot of times when I watch people, I've watched a lot of people do these. Some of them have done full playthroughs like I intend to do. Some people stopped it after a while. But either way, they always do, of course, start with a draft. And I've noticed that almost everyone signs their big people for 6 months or more. I am not going to do that. The reason I'm not going to do that is because if they're playing two-player especially, like Squared Circle Jobbers does basically the same model Up, Down, Down started, which is they time each other because it's 2 human players. I, of course, don't have that restriction, so I have all the time I want to look things over. So I don't need to do that, and I want to save even more money, so I'm not even going to go 6 months, I'm going to go 3 months. They picked Bret Hart. Interesting. When I did a test draft earlier, just to test, the layout and the software and stuff, they ended up SmackDown got first pick, and they actually picked The Rock. So that's interesting. So that actually changes my plans slightly, because I planned for them to pick The Rock, so I was going to take either Bret Hart or Stone Cold, but that was assuming that I only got one of Hogan and Rock. The Rock is still available, so what I think I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take The Rock. That doesn't affect my Hogan rivalry. My rivalry with Hogan was not Stone Cold or Bret Hart, at least not my first one. So I'm going to take The Rock for 3 months. Oh yeah, so and one other thing I wanted to point out while I look over my notes and stuff, make sure I grab all the people I was thinking of, and decide if I want to keep the exact list that I came up with, or change some of my pick thoughts was what I was going to say. How this is going to work, the draft, I'm going to film right now, and I'm also going to film, I'm probably going to cut it at the draft, and then I'm going to I'm going to do 2 shows at a time because I'm playing single player, and with the Up, Down, Down simulating everything, it doesn't take long to actually look at the shows after you book them, and I actually have I'm actually going to write some notes for each show of what I want to book before I turn the camera on to save at that time. So because we'll be doing videos pretty quickly, and simulating, I'm going to do 2 shows at a time. I'm probably going to simulate everything, even pay-per-views, only because the computer that I'm using to play the game, to connect to where I can play the game, is not terrible, but it's not as good as I'd like it to be. There's some parts that I eventually want to upgrade. So it will run everything to record the video, no problem. But the gameplay does get kind of slow for multi-man matches. Especially a full 6 people in the ring plus the ref, or at ringside. Like I'm talking, it drops by like 20%. So what I might do for pay-per-views is watch like the single person or triple threat ones that are still at full speed and then simulate the rest. But for now, I'm just going to simulate everything. But let me know in the comments if you want me to watch the matches that the setup I have is capable of playing correctly, and I will certainly look into that. So for the draft, doing a mock draft earlier to kind of see what they were going to do. And I actually already screwed it up on me, did something different, and I ended up with Rock instead of Austin. But the 2 guys I was assuming I'd be picking third are still here, which is Andre the Giant and Mankind. I'm thinking I might take one of the current of the time guys instead. But I do really like... You know what? No, I'm going to stick with my plan. I'm going to take Mankind because I like Mankind. I love Mick Foley. They took Triple H, so I could even take Andre the Giant if I want to. But what I'm actually going to do, so make sure I don't lose him, because I have ideas for him, I'm going to take John Cena for 3 months. They took Undertaker. So, I could take Andre the Giant, but I don't trust them because they're starting to do what I'm doing and not necessarily picking exactly who I think they will. So I'm going to go right to him right now. I want Kurt Angle. I'm going to take him for 3 months also. That's my top 5. I'm going to take one more guy for 3 months. I have more money left than them anyway. They did now take Andre the Giant. The next guy that I really want to make sure I get my hands on is Randall Keith. They took Batista. Now, I started to write down Shawn Michaels next, but I changed my mind. I actually want to take Eddie Guerrero. They took Rob Van Dam. Oh yes, I forgot to mention this. Of course, Hogan is being used. I know he's a little controversial. So is Chris Benoit. I am not WWE affiliated. I am. If it upsets you guys, offends anybody, my apologies. Most people at this point, especially for a video game more than the real life, like watching matches and stuff, seem to be okay with it in videos I've watched. If you're not, I apologize, but I wanted to tell as much roster as possible. And I actually wanted to take him because he's one of the top 10 popularity guys in the game. In the default roster. So I'm going to take Chris Benoit for 3 months. They took the British Bulldog, as I suspected they would. Michael's still available. I could take him. I wasn't planning to, but I could. And I think I'm going to, actually. They took Mysterio. I'm going to skip JBL and take Trish Stratus. And take her for 3 months. Now that I got 10, I'm going to start doing 5 weeks to save some money. So, the next pick I had written down is available, and it's Kane. I'm going to take him for 5 weeks. They took Jericho, which is fine, because I didn't actually put him on my list. The next person on my list is still available, and just in case they try to screw me, I'm going to take her right now. They took Ric Flair. That's unfortunate, because he was on my list. I had him in mind for a tag team. However, they did not. Rick wasn't the next one on my list, but this guy was. Edge. They took Junkyard Dog. Good. They did not touch who I want, which is Booker T. They took the Big Show. My next pick was going to be Ric Flair. However, I did end up taking Shawn Michaels instead. So while he won't necessarily be my ideal pick for a tag team, what I'm going to do instead, I'm going to take Torrie Wilson and hope. Good, they took Paul London. I didn't put this guy on my list, but now I'm going to because I got Edge but not Ric Flair. I wasn't going to team Edge and Ric Flair, but I had a different team in mind for Ric Flair. But since that team's not going to work now, I'm going to do Edge and Christian instead. And now I'm going to pick Shelton Benjamin. They took Carlito, who was not on my list anyway. I'm going to take Lita. They're done. Now I'm going to take one that'll be surprising. I was going to take Christy Hemme to have 4 women, but I'll grab her later to fill in. What I'm going to do right now is take one that's surprising, or it could be surprising if you don't see what I'm going to do with them. I'm going to take Charlie Haas. And since he's dirt ass cheap, I'll take him for 6 months. Because it's the same as 3 months or less for somebody else. And then I'm going to take the jobber I made. Because that's what I made him for. I'm just going to take him for... I'll just take him for 3 months. Now, I am going to assign champions. WWE Champion. Surprise, is going to be Hollywood Hogan. However, that will make more sense in a moment. I mean, it makes sense anyway, but so the United States champion. Where are my rivalries? There they are. Since you don't have to pick heel and face, it doesn't matter as much, but I'm going to pick Orton. Oh, this is tag team. Never mind. Forgot it goes tag team second. So for the tag team champions, I was going to make a WWE version of the Main Event Mafia. That's where Ric Flair was going to come in with Booker T. But since that didn't work... Oh, apparently I did have Edge figured into the tag team scene. I was going to put him with Kane. But that's okay, because I'm going to put Edge and Christian together instead. Intercontinental Champion. I was thinking it was US, but Raw has the Intercontinental. I had it written down as US because I forgot which brand I was on, which brand had what titles, because I didn't have the screen up when I did it. And we're going to do, for the Women's Championship, we only have 3 to choose from. Or no, we do have 4. That's right, I was going to have 5 women and have one be a floater, but I didn't. I decided not to do that. Decided to go with Haas. So, I could put it on Trish, which is the obvious choice because of popularity. But what I'm actually going to do... No, that's exactly what I'm going to do. So that's our champions. We got Hogan, Edge and Christian, Orton, Stratus. I'm not going to read all that out. Get rid of that. Get rid of that email. So, here's what we're going to do. We have no rivalries, of course, because you have to book rivalries through matches or through creating a rivalry. Well, I know what rivalries I want to create, so we will do that on the first full episode. I'm not... Oh, good, you can customize people's attributes for the created guys if I ever want to. So we still have 3.5 million. So, right now, Hogan's 95 with the belt, Rock's 88, 84 for Mankind, 81 for Cena, 77 for both Angle and with the IC title boost Randy Orton, 76 for Shawn Michaels, 72 for Eddie Guerrero, 71 for Trish Stratus with the title, 70 for Chris Benoit, 65 for Edge with the title, 65 for Kane, 64 for Stacy, 61 for Booker, 60 with the belt for Christian, 58 for Tori, 54 for Shelton, 53 for Lita, 25 for Charlie Haas, and 20 for him, for the Jobber. Don't care about the Jobber. I'm going to sacrifice match 1 of my card for the next several weeks to boost Charlie Haas. There's 2 main tricks that a lot of people use in this game if they're playing against the AI. One of them only applied to the draft, and I didn't need to do it because I got the guy I wanted, which was Hollywood Hogan, and I actually ended up getting The Rock 2, which I thought they were going to take. But I wanted Hogan first because I have plans for him. Pardon me. But for anybody who's either never played it or never thought of it, or never heard of the, not glitch, but the sort of cheat you can do, if they get a pick you want, especially the first pick of the draft is when it usually happens to me. Like if they had picked Hogan, gotten the first pick and picked Hogan, what I would have done is taken anybody that was relatively comparable. Now in that case, Hogan was the most popular, so it wouldn't be what quite worked. But let's say I didn't want Hogan, and I only wanted The Rock, and they took The Rock. I would take Hogan, who's higher popularity, on a 5-week contract. They usually take their top guys for 3 to 6 months. Trade him. They only care about the popularity. They eat the extra cost. I make money, but I get a better deal out of it for the guy I want. So that didn't need to happen because I got who I wanted. And some guys I wasn't expecting to get instead of who I had written down. So there you go. The second thing, which I am going to be doing for the first few shows, both for Shelton and especially for Charlie Haas, who's going to be his tag team partner, book them into at least 2, probably 3 on 1 handicap matches, which I'll probably do with Probably Booker T, since he's the next lowest that I don't have a set plan for yet. Now that Ric Flair's not there. Could trade for Ric Flair, I suppose. But we'll look into trades and stuff after. But those three are going to fight Joe Burr, my jobber. Once again, you're welcome for the creative name. In 3-on-1 handicap match, non-tagging in and out, just straight 3-on-1 handicap matches, and hopefully murder him over and over again. Which will kill the which with Shelton and Booker in it should keep the popularity to at least 1.5 stars, hopefully. So it won't totally kill my booking for the rest of the card, but it will be easy wins for them, especially Haas, so that he can get up into even the 40s, but preferably the 50s or 60s, and team up with Shelton Benjamin to go for the tag team titles. So that's going to be the plan. Once again, Hogan, Edge and Christian, Randy Orton, Trish Stratus. Rivalries we haven't started yet. We're not doing trades yet. Free agents that are still available. Because we added the Legends, there's actually a couple of guys that I normally in the default game actually consider picking that are still here. And on SmackDown, there's a couple guys I would have picked that are still here. Regal may become a pet project later because I really love Regal. We'll see. Possibly Hassan. Possibly Dupree, maybe even Chavo. Because I do have Eddie Guerrero. But yeah, so that's our starting roster for now. And we'll see you next time for the official episode 1, technically episode 2. First booking episode, I should say. Once again, my name is Cain Drago. Peace out.